So, I know you've probably seen a lot of these videos by this time of like 10 lesser known slasher movies out there. And that's fine. You know, I'm pretty sure you, like at some point or another, you guys have probably seen these videos pop up at some point or another. Now, this isn't a top 10 list. This is just a 10 recommendations. I haven't really done a recommendation video, so I thought it'd be kind of cool to do that for the first time ever. And if this does well, I'll do like 10 lesser known creature feature movies if this video like has enough hype. This isn't, like I said, not a top 10 video, not rank worst to best. These are just 10 movies that you guys should probably enjoy. If you guys want to enjoy, you know, this is a spooky season video. That's I've like for the past few years I've lacked on spooky season, so I'm trying to catch up for lost time. So here we are with our spooky season video. And again, you may have heard of these movies, you may have not. Not everyone hears of everything, so feel free to go out into the world and check these out if you haven't. But yeah, so here we go. Let's see where this leads us. Starting off with the first movie on this list for recommendations for lesser-known slasher films, Intruder. Intruder is a very indie film that's recently kind of gotten some hype after it got a Blu-ray release and it got a little more accessible. I think you can still find it on Tubi. In fact, I think you can find a lot of these movies on Tubi. That is the GOAT of horror streaming sites. I don't care what anyone says. Tubi is the GOAT when it comes to if you want to look at obscure horror movies, that's your place to go. But getting back to my point, Intruder is a film that's actually from the scriptwriter and one of the producers from the Evil Dead franchise. In fact, Ted Raimi and Bruce Campbell do show up in the movie. I'm not going to say where, but they do. This basically, the story is about this little tiny grocery store that's about to close down, and during the night, someone among the crew is brutally murdering everyone else in the store, and it's kind of a cool whodunit. I will say, though, that you do figure out pretty fast who the killer is, but you don't fucking care, because some of these kills are downright Tom Savini level brutal. Great kills, great cinematography. Does the ending kind of lack? It does, but like you don't care. It's a fun ride. I really enjoy it. I highly recommend it. Next up, Hills Run Red. Not Hills Have Eyes. Hills Run Red. Hills Run Red was kind of a film that was lost in the shuffle in the early 2000s gore porn era of films. And all the Saw sequels too. Actually, it came a little after Saw. It was like 2009. But Hills Run Red is a film that I greatly love. I that's not even a proper sense. I really enjoy this film. I recently watched it. Basically, the story is about this group of horror fans who go out in the woods to look for a missing film called Hills Run Red. And soon they discover that there's more to the movie than they know. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to spoil anything, but yeah, the main killer called Babyface, great design. Brutal kills in here too. There's some great kind of commentary on the horror genre itself. It's very much it's like Scream and Hostel 69'd each other, and that's what you get with this movie with Hills Run Red. Now, I should have said this earlier. A lot of these movies are gonna vary in quality. But, you know, if you're a horror fan, you're just here for some carnage candy. And some of these do have some good stories to them. So, and these are just recommendations. So the next movie I'm going to recommend to you guys is Just Before Dawn. Just Before Dawn is kind of like an 80s era version of Wrong Turn. These backwoods hillbillies are hunting down people in a forest. And there's some really good kills. It's beautiful. This movie has some great atmosphere to it. It really does give you the sense of people getting alone in the woods and there's nothing they can do. I really like that. There's a lot of slasher movies out there that are very much slasher films that are in the forest, but this one is one of those few forest slasher films that really give you that sense of wilderness. You know what I'm saying? It really gives you this feeling of just downright there's nowhere to go. If you go further, you're gonna get lost. Beautiful atmosphere, great. It's some nice kills too. It's a little hard to watch at some points with the kills, and also it gets a little. Someone should have brightened up the film, is what I'm saying. Also, our final girl is very different from your typical, mousy, nerdy final girl. Imagine if the hot blonde was the girl you're following through the film. That's all I'm gonna say. Next up is Alice, Sweet Alice. Alice, Sweet Alice is a film that's very much a whodunit kind of thriller story. It centers around, actually, you know what? I'm not going to spoil the movie. It's a story that you need to watch, and it opens up with a pretty brutal death to begin with. Like, that's it. Once you see the opening kill in Alice, Sweet Alice, yeah, you're gonna want to just pause for a minute and go like, do I want to continue this? Do I want to keep going? Yeah, it's one of those movies. So, I'm not going to spoil too much. It's a child killer movie, to an extent. That's all I'm going to say. So there you go. I don't know if it does count as a slasher. It's more of a thriller, but it's very enjoyable. So there you go. Alice, Sweet Alice. Next up, this one's not really much of a slasher as it is more of a found footage movie that was made in a documentary. And it did get some hype to an extent, but then people forgot about it. This is the Poughkeepsie Tapes. The Poughkeepsie Tapes is a found footage movie that's kind of shot as a fake documentary. This is very brutal. This is brutal. My girlfriend and I watched it together one night, and we were like, I feel like I need it. I showed it to her because I had seen it first. And then I was like, hey, babe, the Poughkeepsie Tapes is on Tubi. You want to watch it? And she's like, ooh, what's that? And I was like, I'll show you. And after it, she was like, that was really good, but never show me that to me again. This is a movie about a serial killer who has been lost and went out into the wilds, and they found several videotapes that record his killings. It's very real. It's brutal. It's treated like a crime drama, but there's just some moments where you are left feeling disgusted, dirty, but you want to keep watching. This was supposed to get a theatrical release, I heard, but because it felt so real that they were like, nah, just put it on DVD release, and it got lost in the shuffle. Like I said, it's not really much of a slasher as it is a found footage bloody story. It's more of a cop drama, but I kind of felt like there wasn't really a place I could put it here anywhere else, but I was like, you know what? I'll just have the Poughkeepsie Tapes here. And I couldn't really think of one spot to fill it. Next up is Stage Fright. Stage Fright is a film I recently found earlier this year, and I absolutely love the film. Stage Fright is a film about a theater group who are making a musical about a serial killer with an owl mask. Well, unfortunately, a real serial killer has infiltrated the group and is brutally murdering the group. This is very much like it's very much in the form of a giallo film, and the owl mask is such a striking form. It's just a striking mask. There's some beautiful cinematography. There's one scene, I don't want to spoil it, but there's one scene that is towards the end. You'll know it when you see it. It's this beautiful moment. It's this silent moment that really hangs on in the third act, and I really love how it's shot. It's very giallo-esque. In fact, I think a lot of the directors and a lot of the cast and crew were from Italian films. But it's a slasher film through and through. It's also got it's just so bizarre at the beginning. And it's so bizarre at the beginning, and it makes sense throughout. But there's some decent scares here and there. I'm surprised no one's talked about this before. Like, this movie should be on the level of like one and done films like My Bloody Valentine and whatnot. Anyway, so moving on to our next film is Edge of the Axe. Edge of the Axe you can find on Amazon Prime right now. Basically, it's about this killer in a small town in California who is this axe-wielding killer, and and our main character uses a computer that talks to him in a sardonic computer voice, and I swear to God, that's the inspiration that John Dilworth and the others at Encourage the Cowardly Dog used for Courage's computer. I swear to God, when you watch this movie, you're going to think about the computer from Courage the Cowardly Dog. The ending is really weird, but it kind of feeds into it, and I like it. The killer has a really cool mask, and it opens with a brutal kill at a car wash. Not going to spoil anything, but it has a hell of an opener. So there you go, Edge of the Axe. Next up, Madhouse. Again, like Poughkeepsie Tapes, it's not so much a slasher film as it is more of a thriller. But here's the difference. It has two very important actors, Peter Cushing and Vincent Price. The story is that Vincent Price is an aging horror actor, go figure, who is slowly driven mad after his wife is found murdered, and the character he's played in the movies called Dr. Death has come to life and is picking off people one by one. So, yeah, it's not so much a slasher. I struggle to call this slasher, but it does have a lot of the slasher tropes, so that's what kind of stuck it in here for me. Madhouse, fun movie, and again, if you love like Price and Cushing, there you go. They carry that movie. Next up is Curtains. Curtains is kind of another Giallo-esque movie that's kind of a shit show because the creators of it fought and had two different versions. You'll know when you see it, but the story is pretty interesting in talking about psychology. The story is that a group is filming a slasher film, and the original actress who was meant to be the main character, who was left in an asylum for method acting, and the producers forgot about her and she lost her mind, is brought in and bodies start falling. It's a nice whodunit. It's kind of weird halfway through, but I think like it's engaging enough. It's got some really dark tones about Hollywood in general. And finally, for my 10th movie I'm going to recommend is Valentine. Again, Valentine is a 90s slasher film that kind of got lost in the shuffle between Scream. It is from I think it wasn't from Kevin Williamson, but I think he did have a hand in it, if I'm not mistaken. But that film, essentially what it is a group of kids, long ago, a group of mean girls, tortured this little nerdy guy, and now they're in the now it's the present time in the 90s, and now they're being picked off by an unknown masked killer with a cherub mask. The movie has been getting some popularity, but it's still kind of unknown. At the time, you had like I Know What You Did Last Summer, Scream, even Urban Legends, which I did think about putting on here, but it did get two more movies in its franchise. So I was like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna let this one go. I think I'm gonna have Valentine instead, because even now, like Valentine is still like people are like, what? The ending is kind of weird. All these movies, you're kind of noticing a trend that these obscure slasher movies have like unthought about or poorly constructed endings, right? There's a trend going on here. But yeah, this movie is a lot of fun. It does have like Sex in the City and Scream mixed together, but on a whole, it's neat. You probably saw it on like Dead Meat or some other videos here and there, but it's been getting a little popular, but still kind of in the unknown regions. So there you go, guys. Those are, if you want to check out if you want to add some obscure movies to your spooky count, to your spooky movie horror count, there you go. There's 10 more suggestions right here. So yeah, you guys tell me what you guys think of this, and let me know some other obscure horror films that you enjoy watching. Like I said, if this video does well, I'll do another of these, but with creature feature movies, and by God, there's a lot of them. So I'm gonna have to level it down to 10 for those. I'm kind of already working on the list. I've got 2 already. If this does well, I'll finish that list. But anyway, once again, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time, the Multiverse.